These are 8 weird, unorthodox habits that have drastically changed my life in the last 6 months. Let's get into it. One is not letting money be a barrier. Now, I'm someone who has grown up with serious money mindset issues. In fact, I've only started working on my money mindset, on my income actually, in the last 4 years or so. But there are still so many instances where I have the old scarcity mindset creep up and prevent me from doing things that I want to do. So this year, I became a lot more intentional about it. And earlier, whenever I wanted to buy something or invest in something, my first thought used to be, can I afford this? Or do I actually have the money right now? Or maybe this money is, put to better use instead of spending on this particular thing. And more often than not, that usually ended up creating more scarcity in life, and also it ended up killing that dream right there. But in the last year, I made it a point to switch this question a lot more. So instead of asking, can I afford this? I started asking myself, okay, how can I actually make the money to afford this? The difference might sound tiny, but it has changed everything, right? Suddenly, I was not blocking my dreams anymore. I was not blocking what I wanted in the first place. I started giving myself permission to think bigger than ever. Like if I wanted a new camera or if I wanted to go on a trip, I did not spiral into guilt and start questioning my life's choices. I actually started looking for ways that could make that thing happen. So if that meant pitching more projects, I would do that. If it meant finding extra income streams, I would do that. Just getting creative in different ways to make that money so that I can actually afford the things that I want. And the reason I think this works is because every time I ask myself, how can I create the money? I reinforce two very powerful ideas. One is that I trust myself to figure things out. And two, money is not this scary, limited thing. It is something that I can generate as much of it as I want. And this has built an abundance mindset for me like nothing else in my life. And don't get me wrong, I am not a reckless spender for the most part, but I have learned to not let the fear of losing money stop me from dreaming big. And I think that has been huge for me in this past year. Habit number 2 is random acts of kindness. I like to think that I've always been a kind person, but this year I think I became a lot more intentional about it again. So things like listening more intently or going that extra mile to just make somebody's day better. Just little things like this that reinforced that idea that I am a kind person to me in my head. And I think that helped me feel less stuck in my own head, if that makes sense. And here's why I think it worked. Every time you do something kind for no reason, you end up proving to yourself that you're not living in survival mode, that you have enough to share, whether that is time, whether that's energy, whether that's money. And again, I think that reinforces that abundance mindset that is very, very rare to come by these days. And another thing that it does is it helps you shift focus away from your own problems, even if it is just for a moment, even if it is just for a few seconds. And for those moments, life actually feels good. It feels better. It feels lighter. And the best part about kind acts or kindness is I think it's self-reinforcing, right? The more you do it, the more you start to see opportunities everywhere to be more kind, to smile at someone, to listen more intently, to just make another human being's day easier, better, things like that, right? And that loop builds a sense of this quiet self-respect. Like, I'm the kind of person who leaves things better than I found them. And I absolutely love that feeling. I think it has overall made me a much happier person in this past year. I've prioritized happiness a lot more, and this is one of those things that has helped me become a happier person. Coming to habit number 3, setting aside money for gifts. This is something I actually learned from a reel. The idea is super simple. You create a small SIP, which is a systematic investment plan or a systematic investment fund, where the money that you're putting in this fund is just for gift. So every month, a little bit goes in. You could do 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,500, whatever your budget is. And that money is only for you to spend on gifts for people's birthdays, their weddings, festivals, anything, right? Now, I'm somebody who loves giving gifts anyways, but before this, gifts would always feel like an extra expense, right? Which meant that I was either stressing out last minute if something came up, if somebody's, birthday or anniversary came up, or I was overspending out of guilt. But when I started doing this, I just like setting money aside for gifts, it has made me so much more thoughtful. I can plan ahead and I can actually enjoy that act of giving gifts. And it has taken away that weird financial friction that comes with, exchanging gifts, especially during festival times. The best part is that this habit again reinforces generosity. You're literally telling yourself that I care enough about people to invest in them every single month. And I think that is a pretty magical thing to practice. This brings me to habit number 4, which is more personal, and that is not setting an alarm. I have been a part of the 4 a.m. club. I have been a part of the 5 a.m. club. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of benefits to doing those things, to waking up early. You get a lot of quiet focus time for sure. But for me, I think there were a lot more downsides than there were positives. And I have tried this for long enough to know this. So I am somewhat of an anxious person. And whenever I have a pre-time thing that I have to wake up at 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever, like when I sleep with an alarm, I go to bed anxious and then I have restless sleep through the night because that gets ingrained in my brain that I have to wake up at this particular time. And every few hours I'll wake up and check the time, whether it's 6 a.m. already, even though I've already set the alarm. And this basically was causing me to have a very low quality sleep in the beginning of this year, last year, and all of that. And I was getting very, very concerned about enough sleep and also the quality of the sleep that I was having. I had accumulated so much sleep debt. Quality of sleep was going down the drain. And all of this because I was very concerned about waking up at a certain time. So this year I stopped setting an alarm altogether, at least on most days. And the idea was to remind myself that I actually have the privilege, of setting my own hours, and I'm not really utilizing that privilege, even though I have it. Most people don't have it, and I have it and I'm not utilizing it. And that's just weird, right? I should be. So ever since I got that thought in my head, and ever since I stopped setting an alarm, the difference in my sleep quality has been huge. I sleep deeper, it's more restful, I don't wake up through the night at different intervals, and I have stopped waking up anxious, about just being awake at an arbitrary time. And this has done a lot of things for my mood also, my energy levels throughout the day. Basically, overall, it's been a much needed change. And I think what I just did was started prioritizing sleep quality over an arbitrary wake up time, and that has made me more productive. It has also made me healthier. Overall, it's been a good thing. I think we put a lot of emphasis on these things about, waking up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or whatever. But I think more important than that is the quality of your sleep, whether you're getting enough sleep, because your productivity ultimately is a lot more dependent on your energy levels than the time that you wake up. Personally, for me, this has been a boon. This brings me to habit number 5, and that is doing the crossword in the morning. This, I think, has been one of the biggest ways for me to end that morning doom scrolling habit. Halfway through this year, I decided that I wanted to start my days by doing something fun and happy. So for about 50 days in this time period, I was actually watching Ryan Trahan's 50 States series, where he was going to a new state every single day in America. It was such a fun thing. It was very uplifting. It was a very happy, joyous thing to start my morning with. And once that got over, I stuck to doing the daily New York Times crossword. And I've tried a bunch of different things over the years. I've tried reading in the morning. I have tried, going on Substack and Medium to start my day with productive blogs in the morning. And all those are good, and you can do it for a little while, but after a period of time, I think right in the morning doing something that heavy also gets counterproductive. It makes your brain really heavy, and you're just reinforcing a lot of these very heavy ideas when you do those things in the morning. And I think solving a crossword or doing Sudoku is a good middle ground. The reason that I love it so much is because it's the exact opposite of doom scrolling, right? Doom scrolling puts you in a reactive, very overstimulated mode. And I think reading right in the morning, reading heavy books or self-help books or self-help blogs in the morning also does the same thing. It just makes you overstimulated, and that's not something I like doing in the morning. But crosswords are more intentional. They actually exercise your brain instead of frying it, and it also helps build critical thinking in very tiny doses, right? Because you're not just guessing answers, you're looking at clues, you are thinking from different angles, you are trying different patterns, you're making connections. And I think that is something all of us need more of in life. I think any puzzle game in the morning would be a good idea. For me, crosswords are the default because I've been doing them for a while. But yeah, I would love your suggestions on what other puzzle games I can try in the morning. This brings me to habit number 6, delegating and outsourcing work. This has been a huge one for me this year because for the longest time, I had this idea in my head that I had to do everything myself, especially when it comes to my work, because I want everything to be perfect, every part of the project to be perfect, and only then can the end result be good and perfect. So editing, writing, emails, admin stuff, everything was on my shoulders. And I thought, this brings quality control to the work that I do. In reality, it's just about me not being able to give up control. And initially, I think that was fine. My work was doing fine. But over a period of time, it is extremely, extremely draining. And that then shows up in the quality of the work that you do as well. So this year, I actually became a lot more intentional with outsourcing more work, handing off editing, delegating research and script writing to a huge extent to my team, and letting go of the idea that I am the only one who can do things right. At first, it was uncomfortable. I think it still is in a lot of aspects. But what I noticed is that every time I delegated some work, I actually created more space for things that only I can do, like ideation or creating or connecting with you guys, right? And the reason that I think this works is because it frees up my energy for things that really move the needle. So instead of spreading myself thin across 10 different tasks, I can actually go all in one or two aspects that really impact the work that I do. I'm still learning to let go of things, and I'm still learning to become better at delegating, but I think I've also come a lot farther than I was in the past 2 or 3 years, and I want to pat myself on the back for that. This has also taught me to trust other people better with my work and to honestly see it happening, that it doesn't dilute my vision. It helps me amplify it, because then I'm able to do more meaningful work. Looking back, I wish I had learned this earlier, because the truth is that doing everything yourself is not really a strength. In most cases, it is a bottleneck, but better late than never. So I'm glad I did learn some of it this year, and I only hope to get better from here on forward. This brings me to habit number 7, spending time with my cats. And this is, of course, my favorite habit on the list. It is one of the most transformative things that has happened to me in this past year. So I've had my cats for about a year, and in that past year, my life has completely taken a turn for the better. You think that it's just playtime, or you get to cuddle with these cats, but I think they teach you so much about life. They teach you so much about your own self. Firstly, for me, I think it's made me more present. I am generally a present person, but they have made me an even more present person. When I'm with them, I am not on my phone. I'm not thinking about what is next. I am just there in the moment with them, whether it's playing, whether it's talking to them, whether it's cuddling with them. That kind of presence is rare, and it's taught me to slow down in other parts of my life as well, right? I can take out 15 minutes to play with my cats, and if I can take out 15 minutes for that, I can take out 30 minutes for working out, and I can slow down and be more intentional with the choices that I make in my life. It has also helped me feel less alone. Again, I'm not somebody who struggles with loneliness, but having them around creates this constant comforting presence. Especially if you live by yourself, you'll understand what I mean. It's like, even in silence, I'm never truly by myself. I have somebody to talk to, and those beings are my cats. And finally, I think the most important thing that they've taught me is the beauty of being non-performative. Cats don't pretend. They don't care about looking a certain way. They don't care about impressing you. They are not, going to be constantly wanting or needing your attention. They're themselves. They want their own space. They want to live life on their own terms. And being around them has made me question how often I put on a show in my own life. So instead of doing that, I lean into showing up more authentically in the various aspects of my life. And I love my cats. I think they're such a beautiful addition to my life. They've made my life better in every way possible. And yeah, they've made me more empathetic. Loving them has opened me up to, just observing the beauty in nature, in other animals, realizing, how animals behave, just being more kind towards them. I have also started contributing to charities and finding ways to give back, because when you practice empathy in one area of your life, it overflows into everything else. So yeah, I think best habit ever. It looks very small from the outside. It's just like owning a pet from the outside, but it has changed my life in ways that I didn't even expect. And finally, coming to habit number 8, saying only good things about my body. This one started as an experiment, and I'm still in the middle of it, but I was so surprised by how powerfully it has impacted my mind. I decided that no matter what, I would only say good things about my body out loud in my head Every time there's a negative thought that creeps in, I replace it with a positive thought about my body. And it has broken that cycle of criticism in my life. I didn't even realize how casually I'd think things like, oh my God, I look so bloated today. Oh my God, my belly looks huge today, right? And every time that thought creeps in and you don't negate it, it reinforces that narrative that your body is something to be looked at and judged. Your body is something to constantly be improved upon. But ever since I've made that kind of switch to be more intentional with the kindness and to be more intentional with what I am saying about my body, it has made me see myself in a very different light, right? It's shifted how I carry myself. Because when you stop attacking, your own reflection, you stop walking into the world apologizing for your existence. And women, I think, tend to do this a lot more than men. So when you become more kind, when you accept yourself for who you are, you also become more respectful towards your body, towards the things that it does for you. And that brings a sense of quiet confidence, that you know what you're doing and you trust yourself to be doing what you're doing. And simultaneously, it also helps, I think, separate your worth from your appearance. Praising my body helps me work on it and do things for my health in a way that is not just attached to looks. I care about building muscle. I care about healing my gut. I care about being strong without always equating that with how I look. The way you talk to your body is the way you teach your mind to treat yourself. And I found that when you practice respect when it comes to your physical self, it spills into every other aspect of your life. And yeah, those were the 8 unconventional habits that I observed myself, building this year. They started out sort of randomly, unintentionally, but then I became more intentional with them. And I think they've had the biggest impact in my life of all the habits that I think I've built in the last couple of years. So I wanted to share them with you guys in hopes that you might pick something up from here for your own life. If you enjoyed this video, let me know if any of these habits resonated with you, if you are working in any of this specific direction, because we do talk a lot about, the conventional healthy habits, eating clean and working out and going for a walk and reading and not doom scrolling and all of that. But a lot of the times when we're doing those things, they are a result of these tiny rituals and habits that you build quietly. So if you enjoy this video, let me know in the comments, leave a like, and share this video if you found it helpful, because that really helps me reach more people and spread the word. And as usual, go check out this video next, because YouTube says you're gonna love it. And I'm gonna see you guys very, very soon with another one. Bye.